So today I'm going to be talking about the SBN testing dashboard, a free tool that health and fitness professionals can use to visualize the data of the testing that they perform with groups of individuals, whether that be a sporting group, maybe it's a sports team that you're working with, that type of thing. And it works with not only the AXIT system, which of course it's designed primarily to work with, but you can also use any testing that you perform as long as it's objective, as long as you're measuring, you can visualize it utilizing this tool and this dashboard. Now, the dashboard itself comes with different parts to that tool. So you'll have access to a leaderboard function that I'll be explaining in a moment, as well as a group comparison function so you can visualize data and how it's progressing over time. So looking at the progression of the group that you're working with there, as well as what we call a radar tool or a radar chart. So being able to kind of visualize in a really cool way to compare kind of individuals and things like that. Now, if you want access to this tool, really easy to get. Once again, it's a free tool. All you have to do is just pop in some of your details there by going to www.strengthbynumbers.com/testing dashboard, and you'll be able to get access to that straight away. So anyway, let's talk about how this dashboard works. Of course, once you do get access to it and download it, the first place probably to go to is the how to use section. So this contains all the instructions on how you can utilize that. There it'll run you through the process of if you are using the AXIT system, so using our dynamometers or force plates to be able to measure individuals, and how you can do a CSV export, which will then allow you to really quickly copy and paste the data basically straight into the dashboard. So it's almost like a one-click solution to get access to visualizing all of that, which is really cool. It'll explain the results, how those things kind of look and what it kind of means, as well as some of the ways in which you can kind of start to use some of those other tools. So to utilize it though, if you are kind of utilizing it for the first time, the first thing that you're going to want to do is come to this database function here. Basically, really simple. What it will allow you to do is, once again, if you're doing a CSV export, you're just basically going to paste this the results data from your AXIT system directly into it, and it'll pre-populate all of these fields for you, which is really nice and really convenient. But if you are kind of creating your own manual setup or utilizing your own tests, you can do that too. The first thing that you're going to have to do is just enter in the client data itself. So things like a surname, first name of the individual, their date of birth, their weight and their height, as well as then the session date. So, when you perform that session, what date was that? Because that's going to be really important for if you're trying to kind of cycle or compare different dates and different results. You'll need to have that information in there. So just keep that in mind. The other part that you'll need to also complete is just then the first name and the surname as part of that as well. So just making sure that you have both of those kind of names then combined there. From there, then you get into the testing results and the testing data. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of our different Stompit tests here, just kind of in these fields, and we can fulfill lots of different fields through that. And then what you're going to want to make sure that you include in here is whatever that metric is in. So for example, here we're looking at peak force, we're looking at that as a measure of kilograms, and then we're utilizing the actual numerical value for that underneath. So we've just entered some data in here. I'll skip across to just some of the basic kind of information that we've entered in here. So we've got these are some other kind of tests that we might perform. So for example, something like a 1RM maximum bench press. So obviously we can see that in kilograms, so you can imagine how we perform that test. We just perform the bench press, and these are the maximum values. So as you can see, these are the values for that first date there, so the 29th of the 8th. These were the values performed by these individuals on that day. And then our kind of retesting day, I guess, or something like that, almost 6 weeks later or so. As we can see, we've done another kind of 1RM. We've just entered the results in through that. So really easy, really convenient. If I wanted to add, a new value there, let's pop something in. We could do something like a side plank, or actually, let's not do a side plank. Let's just do a normal plank, shall we? Just that way, then we don't have to do the left and the right. So if we go plank for time, and then we mark that in seconds, then I could just really simply add in that information as well. So for example, we might do 60 seconds, and that is for Joe Blogs. Maybe John Smith did 65 seconds. Myself here, Andrew, I'm going to do 90 seconds, and then we've got Bruce Wayne, he did 100, and then Clark Kent, he did 110. So we can kind of keep that in mind maybe for later on when we're going through some of the other testing through that. So enter in all your results or utilize the Access system to get those results in there. And then from there, then what we can do is we can move to what we call the panel, right? So as you can see, what this will include is all the different individuals that feature in the database here. Okay, so we've got the 10 different kind of testing fields that have happened there, but there's actually only 5 individuals here. So if we look, we've got Joe, John, Andrew, Bruce, and Clark, Joe, John, Andrew, Bruce, and Clark. So from there, what we'll be able to do is select who we want to actually feature in the testing tools or the visualizations that you're going to use through that. So this might be important if you have, say, a really big group, but you don't want everyone kind of piled in there, because as you can imagine, if you've got, say 20, 30 or so individuals all kind of squeezed into the one result, it might get a little bit cluttered. There might be a lot going on through that. And that might be where, as you're, say, starting to extrapolate this data, maybe you want to break up the different individuals. So for example, if I had a group of 20 individuals, maybe I only want to show the first 10 in some of these tools to start off with. That might be particularly useful, particularly when we start to talk about, just printing this out. And then from there, then very quickly, I could deselect those individuals and then select the next group. So as you can see, I can kind of click here and that'll then kind of cycle through. You can see there's a little loading bar that happens up in the top right-hand corner. So sometimes it can take just a little bit of time just to kind of switch over and load. So just kind of keep that in mind, and then that'll kind of change the displays through there. So for example, if we then skip ahead to our kind of leaderboard here, as we can see, we've only selected kind of 2 individuals there. And so that kind of impacts how the results are shown. Whereas if I then go back to the panel, and if I reselect those individuals, once again, wait for the loading bar to load up through that. The dashboard and the tool will just do its work. And once all of these are blue, then we know that it's all completed. And if we skip back to our kind of our part of the tool there, we can see everyone's been displayed. So just keep that in mind, particularly if you've got a large group of individuals, just that it allows you to kind of clean up and streamline, I guess, the visualization. So now that we've talked a lot about kind of how to set it up, which should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy, we can start to talk about the fun part, which is the actual tools themselves and what type of information you can start to visualize. The first part here is we have what we call our leaderboard, right? And what you have here is you've got 4 different I guess kind of cells or fields or panels that allow you to visualize some of the different tests that you might be kind of comparing to here. Okay. Now, the way in which it's going to compare is it's going to rank the people that you've tested from best to worst in terms of their result, and then for each kind of test that you performed, and maybe based on some of the metrics that you do get through there. Now, these results are color coded in such a way that, and you'll be able to see that once again in the instruction kind of part there, exactly what the values are. But basically, the really bright green being the best possible result over, I guess, either this manual cutoff or what we call the group average as well. Okay, so basically what it allows you to do is select either a certain result that you want your individuals to achieve, and then it will rank them, according to that as to how high or how much further ahead of that result they are. Or if I deselect that, then what it will do is it'll actually just revert to the average of the group that you've selected there. So this might be really useful if you just want to see, okay, I've done a bunch of testing with an individual or a group of individuals. I just want to see, kind of what the average, I guess, is, which it'll then display through here. So this is looking at our isometric mid-thigh pull peak force. This is a test that we would perform using the stomp force plates there to measure the maximum force that those individuals can generate. And as we can see, based on this group and all of their results there, the average for the group is 296 kilograms or so. Okay, so that might be a useful metric to you. And then from there, then you can see that here we have John Smith, who's done really, really well on that. He's generating 21% more than that group at that 360 kilogram value, where myself, lagging behind 12% less than the average of the group in that respect. Okay, so that's where you'd utilize that. What you can also though use is what we call this kind of manual cutoff, and all you have to do is just click that to select it. Now, in this example, right, once again, using say the isometric mid-thigh pull as my example, maybe I know that for this group of athletes, what I want to make sure is or what's important to me is that I want this group to be scoring at least 240 kilograms, right? Or I could even change that. Say, if I wanted to change it, I could change that to 250, make it a nice even number through there. And as we can see, then it'll instantaneously change it so that I'm now visualizing the percentage of that result over the top, and once again ranking all the individuals from best to worst through there. So really just allows you, I guess, to kind of customize how you want to visualize that data and what's important to you in terms of how you're going to kind of look at all of that. So really useful. Once again, you've got 4 panels that you can kind of then visualize key tests or key results utilizing that, and that leaderboard will then include everyone that you've selected as part of that original panel. We can also, from there, obviously change the test. So if I wanted to, say, change that to my bench press in that respect, it'll kind of change. Once again, it will keep that kind of manual cutoff value that you've selected there. So you might need to obviously edit that if you do kind of change that to whatever it might be. If we also then look, we can also change the date of the testing too. So the first one I visualized was the 29th of the 8th, and these were the results on there. And then I can change it to the other date there. And as you can see, there's been some good progression in that, according to some of those results. So a way in which you can start to visualize that. A better way, though, probably to visualize, I guess, that progression from one session to the next would be using this kind of group comparison report or view there. Okay, so if we come back to this one again, I might just go back to that isometric mid-thigh pull, just, because we were talking about that just before. What I can then do is I can visualize the data from 2 different dates or 2 different sessions. So here we have that 29th of the 8th. Okay, pretty easy. And then obviously the 15th to the 10th, they're the 2 different sessions that I've performed. And then for that isometric mid-thigh pull, I can see, once again, in kilograms, okay, just how people have kind of progressed side by side across those different dates through there. So you've got the 2 panels that you can perform that kind of visualization there. So I can change this one. Once again, I can select any value that is in my data section through there. So once again, if I go to my bench press, I could kind of visualize those, and it gives me those results through there. Obviously, as you can see, if I select the same date on that, it's just going to be the same result in that respect. So just allows you to compare those 2 different dates, which might be a really useful way to show progression, particularly if you're, I guess, reporting back to maybe some coaches or some other individuals who have a vested interest in how this group is kind of performing. Always good, obviously, to show how everyone's kind of maybe progressing. Finally, what we have is what we call our radar chart. So this is a really great way to compare individuals against one another, or maybe you've even got, you don't even necessarily need to compare to an individual. Maybe you've got like a real ideal standard that you want to compare people to. You could create, as part of that kind of database, I guess a fantastical or a fantasy kind of individual that you want to compare, different members of the group to, and kind of show how they fulfill in this. So to utilize this tool, basically what we have is we have the 2 different radars that we're plotting. So in this case, we've got we're plotting Bruce Wayne versus Clark Kent, so Batman versus Superman. Everyone has always kind of wanted to see how that comparison would go, and so we can select with anyone there. What we'll then get from that is then the ability to select different tests that we want to kind of compare the individuals to. All right. Now, these are mapped as percentages, and what it is it's a percentage of the best possible result across the different group, right? So as we can see here in test 3, which is that 1 RM max bench press, right? Actually, this is the 100%. So this is actually the best result that anyone's scored out of all the data that we've kind of put through there. Okay, so basically, then Batman here, he's kind of performing more closer to 75% of that kind of result in that kind of test when compared on that date. So we get our results through that. We can also add additional tests here. So for example, if I add something like our 10-5 repeated jump reactive strength index, it'll just kind of change the fields, and we can add as up to 10 different kind of plots through that, utilizing that radar there. So just kind of compares the individuals. It's really nice to be able to show, I guess, in a really visual kind of way, I guess, kind of where someone kind of fits compared to maybe the physical capacities of someone else. The other cool thing that you can do too is you can also just compare to the group average as well. So once again, if you're testing a lot of different people and you've got a wide array of results, it might be nice to show, okay, this is this person's kind of physical capabilities versus, I guess, the average across the group. Are they above average? Are they below average? Does their radar plot extend beyond the average? Is it kind of falling within it? So a really nice way to just really visualize, I guess, those individual results and kind of compare maybe where individuals are at to where they should be. So after you've obviously visualized all of this data, though, of course, you're going to want to be able to use it maybe in some other ways in how you're reporting and things like that. So probably the easiest way to do that would be just to print that out. So it gives you the option. You can actually physically print it if you'd like. Of course, you're often able to then kind of save these things as kind of PDFs as well, that you'll be able to kind of use and as part of the reporting once again, maybe to some of the coaches, maybe just some referrers that you're working with, or just for your own kind of general interest and the way in which you're tracking your data. So there you have it, guys. That's our SBN testing dashboard. Hopefully that gives you a really good understanding and idea of how that all works. As I said, it's a free tool that you can download from strengthsbynumbers.com/testing dashboard. Use it in any way that you see fit. We're just really about helping people, I guess, stop guessing with their assessment and really start measuring and getting some great results with the people they're working with. All right, guys, that's it from me. I hope you enjoy that. Make the most of it, and we'll speak to you later.